I'm Tomahawk from CustomHawks.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make a handle that fits your hand exactly. Now this handle, this is one of the first ones I've ever made for myself, but I'm going to do it the same way I would one of my customers. We start, and I'll show you how to get these measurements later, but we're going to start. We want this to be 35 millimeters. I like using millimeters because it's just easier to convert, easier to divide and stuff. I like using millimeters. This is going to be 34 millimeters thin. So what I'm going to do is I've measured. This is going to be where my fingers go. This is going to be the back of my hand. I want to take more off here than I do here. So I'm going to start way over here, and I'm just going to take, say, 4 or 5 millimeters off. And then on this side, I'm only going to take 2 or 3 off. But we want it to be 35 millimeters across. And that's what we've got. I made a mark here, and I made a mark here. Now for this set, this is where I'm going to make my finger grooves. I've already measured this out, and these are going to have to be 20 millimeters apart. And we start with one, and you can see I've made a mark at each 20. 20 millimeters here, 20 millimeters here, 20 more millimeters here. So that my fingers are going to end up like this. Where to stop sanding. Now I'm going to redo it. I'm going to make a hole for the back of my hand now. Alright, try that again. Okay, now it's time to start grinding. But before I do, I want to make some marks for these fingers so that I can see it from all sides. Okay, so the tool I like to use is this little Ryobi belt sander, and the reason is I found that this part right here is perfect for finger grooves. It's the perfect size. I've used a couple other brands, and some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. I found that this one's perfect. I've also got a larger belt grinder, and this is way too big, but sometimes for the heavy stuff I'll use this to get rid of wood. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my fingers, and I'm going to grind those down until I can no longer see the hole. I'm using marks to figure out where I'm going to go. Still see the hole there, so I had to go and get it up. see it in the light, but it's still there. And we got it. So I've got my holes all the way disappeared, which means this is as thin as I want to get it. I can go a little bit thinner, but not a whole lot. I'm using some pretty heavy sandpaper here. I think it's 60. When I start doing the finishing touches, I'm going to change to 120. But for now, I want to get rid of a lot of wood really fast. So now I'm going to take this down and smooth it out so that it curves this way. And these fingers, I'm going to round them off so that they feel comfortable in my hand. As far as the measurements, if you're doing it for yourself, you really don't have to measure all that stuff. You could just make your finger grooves and then feel it. That's the best way to do it, is to just feel it as you're doing it. But I'm making this, I make these for other people, so I got to use the measurements. If you're doing a right-handed tomahawk like this one is, you're going to put a whole lot of grinding into this side so that it fits comfortably right in here. If you're doing a left-handed, you're going to grind heavy on this side. But for a right-handed, you want this angle to come real sharp against here, but then as your thumb folds over it, to have a lot of space here for this ball of your thumb to fit. So now I've got it pretty much rough grinded into place. The next thing I'm going to do is switch to a smaller grit sandpaper. I'm going to use 120 and start finishing it off. Now, the finished product, I'm also going to sand all of this, and then I've got to use the sander to grind down the tip where I'm going to stick the tomahawk head on. But right now I'm just working on getting a finished handle that I can show you. Now you can see I've got a handle. It feels really comfortable, and you can see my my two middle fingers there are just touching my hand. That's about the best grip you can get. If it's too big or any smaller, it makes your hand wear out. It makes your forearm wear out when you're trying to swing it. But this is about as comfortable as you can get. It's nice and smooth now. Now all I got to do is grind the rest of this down and get it ready for my tomahawk head. Thanks.